Hi, I got asked a couple of questions, interesting questions about filtering certain potentials on the list view, and I wanted to share that as a video because it's rather complex, harder than it should be actually, but it's at the moment that's the way it's a little bit hard. So the question is, how can we see all the potentials that have no activity linked to it? This is actually the problem. It's that Corvus doesn't have the filtering system in Corvus doesn't have this no activity that doesn't exist kind of thing. You can't do that. So that's where the problem comes. We have two solutions, as I wrote right here, and one is to do a report with conditions of empty activity. This can be done. Filtering we can't, but in the reporting system, we can because I have an image here which shows more or less what we should do. You create the report and select the related module, in this case, to do activities. And then you set the filter to have the subject equals to empty. Uh, that is supposing that you don't have any activity which has an empty subject, obviously, which does kind of make sense. Since it won't have any, it should show you only those potentials that do not have any activities. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. And the other one is using an aggregation workflow to fill in a custom field on the potential with the count of the related activities and create the filter using that. Okay, so the idea is that you can use the aggregation workflow expression to count how many activities a potential has, and you save that value on a field, a custom field on the potential record. So then all of a sudden it is really easy because it's just greater than zero kind of thing. The expression would look something like this: aggregation count CB calendar subject. We can actually do a test of that kind of quick, but I'm more interested in the other question. Anyway, let's see here. This record has one uh, activity, so that's good. I'm gonna jump quick over here. Let's add here in the custom information here, we're going to add a number label num activities length, I don't know, 6 and 0, and we save. Okay, so now I should have here on the opportunities module field, which is an integer here. Okay, and we're going to go create a workflow. Oops, wrong button. Create a workflow on the opportunity module and calculate num activities every time the record is saved. New condition, no, every time that we save, no matter what we do, we count how many uh, activities are related. This is an update field because we want to update the new custom field that we just added. Cut this here, and the new field is number of activities, and the expression should look like this. Let's have a quick look at that. Oops, wrong place. Expression here. If we look at the aggregation, statistics aggregation, it says that we have here multiple rows are grouped together to form a single summary value of a field. The operation, sum, min, max, count, which is the one that we're trying to do. The related module is CB calendar, and we have to have a field we want to count on. As you can see here, it's aggregation, the count operation that we want to do, the module, CB calendar, and I'm counting the subjects. How many subjects? I mean, we could count any field actually because it's just a count, so it doesn't really matter in this case. It's not like a sum where you do have to sum a certain numeric field or something like that. Okay, and the conditions are no conditions. We don't have any conditions in this case. We want to count them all. Okay, so this is the value. This will count how many, return the number. In fact, if we actually try that and we get this one, we should get a 1. Okay. So that saves this. We save here. And now if I actually go to that opportunity and we edit any field or just edit and save, we should get the one here. Okay, so now I can actually filter on that. So this first thing here of how if has have activities or not would be this a simple solution. Then okay, I answered this, and then they asked, okay, yeah, but how do we do it if we have no planned activities? And again, the problem here is the no. That empty set there, that's hard to calculate or hard to get if you don't do a direct SQL kind of thing. As you can imagine, if they had asked us how many potentials have planned activities, this solution that we just did here would have been exactly the same, and we just had to come over here and aggregate and add a condition here where the event status would have been planned. The problem is that obviously we could also do that, adding here a complex condition where you say, okay, event status is held or is maintained or is completed or all the other states that are not planned. Okay, that you could have played with that, but if somebody adds a new state in the status pick list, then you have to remember to do the workflow, and that's kind of complicated also. So what I propose here is to do something different. We go with the workflow approach because the filters, the reports, the reports would not work. The report, because we could do here subject equals empty and okay, that would work. No, subject is empty and event status is planned. I'm not sure this would work here. I would have to try that. Maybe it would work also adding the planned here as a secondary condition. It has to be empty and not planned. I don't know. I'm not too sure about that one. Anyway, I'm more interested in the workflow thing here. Let's see if this one works. Okay, here basically what I'm proposing is, okay, we add a checkbox and we say has planned activities. It's Boolean. Oops. And we create a workflow that builds upon the exist related operation. Exist related will give us if there are any related records on a related module with a given status or given value on the field. So then we update that. We check, does this potential have calendar records in a status plan? Yes, then we set the pick list, the checkbox to 1, and if not, we set it to 0. And again, you go back to filtering on a normal box, on a normal field. Now, this is a little tricky. Let's copy this. Let's do this one, and I'll show you why it's a little tricky. Okay, we're going to update, calculate number of activities. Okay, okay, let's change this so that we don't get mixed up. This one is going to be first here in the opportunities. We're going to go back to the layout editor. We're going to create a new checkbox field, which would be has activities. Okay, and now we're going to put this one has planned activities. Okay, every time the record is set, every time the potential record is saved, we will calculate and update this field. Okay, that looks good. Save. And now we do the same here. Okay, this one. What are we going to calculate here? Has planned activities, and we're going to update this new has activity field, and we're going to update it with the okay, we're going to update that with this expression here. Okay, let's read this one out. We can look here also. I think this is also no, this is logical. exist related. Okay, exist related is what I was just explaining. You have the related module, you have a field name and a value. Okay, so basically in the example here it's saying, does uh, does a contact does a contact with account name Chemex Labs Lit exist? Is there a contact related to this module, whichever module is saving, related that has an account name set to this? And it will say yes or no. We'll give you a ballgame. Okay, so basically here we're saying, okay, if there is a activity with status plan, then set the has activities checkbox to 1, if not set it to 0. Okay, so we save here, we save here, we go to our opportunity module, and let's check this out. Uh, this opportunity has one opportunity and it's in status held. So if I edit, has activity says no. If I edit and save, it should still say no. Okay. If I edit this and I set it to planned, and we go back to the opportunity, note that it has not been updated, and we have to fix that. But if I edit and save, it calculates and it says yes. Okay, so this is working correctly. Okay, this workflow triggers on the opportunity save, and it updates the field accordingly if there is activities related or not. Now, as you can see, the problem here is that uh, now we're not actually, well, even on the number of activities, we aren't really interested in knowing or launching the workflow when the opportunity saves. What we need to do is launch the workflow when the activity saves, because that's when the state, the values of these two fields is going to change. I mean, if I add a new activity to a potential record, when that's when I want to actually calculate this value, this number of activities, because that is when a new activity has been added or deleted or whatever action I just had to take. So we have to trigger this workflow, this opportunity workflow on the activities, on the activity save. So we have to go to the workflow system, go to the calendar module, we create a new workflow here, which was going to update the potential record, update related potential record. Every time the record is saved, create whenever. Okay, we would have to do another one on delete also to make sure that we get that one. It would probably be exactly the same one as the one we're going to do now. And the thing here is that I want to calculate that. I want to get the related to field, potentials, quotes, purchase orders, sales orders, invoices. Wow, it's a really related module. Organizations and opportunities. Opportunities. Okay. Opportunities. Where are you? Opportunities number, for example. That's the one. Okay. Opportunity number is not empty. Okay. What am I doing here? I'm saying, okay, every time a calendar record is saved, and the related to opportunity number is not empty, okay, not empty. Notice that what I'm doing here is that I'm forcing the expression condition language here to search to get the related to of the calendar record that's being saved and try to access an opportunity. If the activity is related to an account, a contact, a sales order, I don't know, purchase order, whatever, it will be able to get an opportunity number, obviously, because it's not related to an opportunity. When will it be able to actually get the opportunity number? When that activity is related to a potential record. And it will always have a value because opportunity number cannot be empty. So what I'm playing here is kind of a trick where I say, okay, if you can actually find an opportunity number from the related to field that's being saved, then it's related to an opportunity. I'm detecting and I'm triggering this workflow only on those records that are actually related to an opportunity. Okay, so once I have that, what I need to do is trigger the workflow that we already have on the opportunity module. I mean, we already have it there. It's doing what we need. It's in the context of the opportunity, which is what we need. So I have to force an update there. So I'm going to do an update field of a record of a field on the opportunity. Okay, so basically I come here, I select the related to, and it will say, oh, okay, so we have, you can update the related to field, or you can update a field on on the opportunity. So I'm going to update the field, the exact same field that I'm going to that we're going to auto calculate, so that I know that I don't overwrite anything. Okay, so for example, here I have the has activities, which is the one number. So I'm going to set this one to yes, for example. Doesn't really matter because what I'm doing here actually is forcing the potential workflow to be calculated. In that sense, it will overwrite the has activity field. For this, it's very important that we launch the workflows on the related updates. Okay, by default, this update, which is done on the opportunities module, not the activity module, which is triggering this, will not trigger the workflows there. But in this case, we know that we do want to do that. I mean, we're doing this explicitly to run and execute those workflows. So we have to mark that. What did I miss this one? Okay. Okay, so now I have a workflow on the opportunity module and a workflow on the calendar module. Okay, so let's come over here. I'm gonna close this event. Yeah, okay, we're gonna close this one. So this that close, okay, that did it. Okay, that's perfect. That close actually triggered a save on the activity to change the status from planned to held. That triggered the workflow that we just created, which triggered executed the save on the opportunity module, set this field to yes, because that's what we're telling it to do here. Remember, here, this workflow, this update related, it calculated true Boolean, so it set it to yes. Then that triggered the workflow on the potential module, which calculated a number, if exists any related activity planned, and it said no, so it set it back to no. A little complicated, but not really that complicated, but a little bit. Planned, yes. Okay, we're gonna put this one to planned. We're gonna do it next week, and I'm gonna save. Okay, now notice that what I'm doing here is I'm going to create a to-do. It's related to this record. It's in status planned. So if everything goes right, this opportunity should go. Let's open it in another tab. This opportunity, this value should go from no to yes. This will trigger the workflow on the activity, which will save on the opportunity, which will trigger the workflow on the opportunity to update the field. Okay, two events, one is held, one isn't, and I have the has activity equals yes, so I can filter and report. It's a little bit, like I was saying, it's a little jumping over some loops and doing some things, but it's not really that complicated once you have a clear idea of what you're trying to do. Anyway, this lacking in the filtering and the reporting system is something that we have to get around to. Basically, if we could get the workflow expression language to work in the filters, notice that you could already do the exist related directly on the filtering. And then if we did something similar with the reports, then we could probably do these things directly there. One last comment would be that we have the business question module where you can actually do SQL and you can do any kind of queries you want and report and use them in the reporting system. So that's another option which I didn't even kind of comment, but that would work too. Hope that helps.